being here at the Casa reminds me of being in Assisi. There's a Latin phrase that's common on the doorways in Assisi, and it's Pax Intrantibus, it's peace to those who enter. And certainly for those of us who've been on this tour with Laura and Heather here at the Casa, there has been much peace which has come our way. Laura and Heather are a remarkable team. Laura is the detail person, and you might say the mother of the group. She really makes sure that all of your needs are taken care of with great kindness and sensitivity. And then Heather is a person of great spiritual power, not only with her support of John of God, but also in her work in shamanism. So they're a remarkable team together.
I think one of the things that we probably want to talk about is how we got with this particular group. And early this year, a number of events led us to read a book that referred to experiences with John of God. And in the pursuit, we knew that from the book that Heather was the main character's or the writer's guide when she came down. And so through Heather's name, we went to the Friends of the Casa website and found that there were a whole number of guides to come and visit the Casa, and we felt like we needed someone to help us through. And it turned out that the scheduling of the trip that really fit me best, was to come with a trip that was a combination of both Laura and Heather. And I called Laura and I said, I'm thinking about coming, but I want to see if I can't get my wife or my brother or someone else to come with me. And Laura said something really wonderful in that phone conversation. She said, a decision to come to the Casa is really a personal decision. And if others want to come, let that be their decision. So I hung up the phone after that conversation. I looked at my wife. I said, do you want to go? And she says, I really think this is for you and your brother. And so I picked the phone back up and called Laura, knowing full well that Gordon was doing something different during this time. And I said, I'm coming. And so I signed onto the trip, 2 weeks before you? Mm-hmm. And what made you change your mind and come to Brazil with me instead of doing what you were scheduled to do?
Frankly, the answer to that question is, I think, ineffable. There was just something that was pulling on me to come on down. And since Bill had opened the door, he'd been sort of the early adopter. I simply decided to follow in his footsteps and to come on and come with him. I'm not sure exactly what it was that pulled me down, but I knew that there was something that said, come ahead and come. I had been thinking about coming 6 months later on another trip, but I decided to come ahead and come, and I was really very glad that I did.
And even though that we're brothers, we couldn't be more different from our spiritual background and current spirituality. I think that's come together during this trip. But Gordon is an Episcopal priest, and Gordon is a practicing Buddhist. I had not been a church-going person since my early childhood years. I was raised in the Methodist Church. But there are certain levels of signals and synchronicities that occur before and certainly once you make the commitment to come. And I can't explain it other than when it happens to you, just listen and pay attention and be open, because the messages are powerful, sometimes subtle, but they're repetitive. It's not just one hit over the head with a 2x4. It's really nudging, nudging, nudging. And I believe, frankly, that there's no one from any place, from any spiritual orientation, or any personal background that can't find something of real value here. Now, one thing I would say about Laura and Heather and Monica as a team, you can come to the Casa on your own, you can come with other guides, but this is my strongest endorsement, and that is with this particular group, you have a backstage pass. You will be exposed to the CASA and to the entities in a way which I think is unique. We were able to have experiences put together in a way, and some of them just happen. Some of them just happen, but having been here, there's planning involved by spirits that are certainly here that seem to be in control of time. The interactions are remarkable, and there's great comedy here, there's great learning here, and every one of the three, between Heather, Laura, and Monica, give a type of insight and learning and appreciation for this wonderful place, this little town in Brazil, that you got to come here as a destination. There's no other reason that you would even think of Abinjanya. But as a destination, it is the most remarkable destination that I've ever been to in my entire life. And I think of the people in the group that is a unanimous feeling and not a unique one. Would you say?
When you step onto the grounds of the Casa, in fact, in the streets around the Casa, you've really stepped into a different space-time. Time seems to slow down, and there is a feeling of benevolence and beneficence which is just palpable here. This current of loving, healing, forgiving energy begins to work on you even before you arrive. But when you arrive, it's really quite palpable.
You can feel the energy. Fortunately, I'm quite visual, and I can see the energy with eyes closed. I don't have personally a lot of visual experience with my eyes open, but with my eyes closed, in waking hours and certainly in sleeping hours, the energy here and the activity here is unlike anything I've ever experienced in my life. And the learning that comes from that is deep and multidimensional. It's hard to get into appropriate words without, in fact, it can't be described by mere words, because it is energy, it is feeling, it is insight that is beyond, I think, in my opinion, is beyond normal ways of thinking. And when I say normal ways of thinking, I mean thinking with your mind. This is a full body experience, and it is really the beginning of something that's quite new for me, and it's energizing and it's refreshing to know that I feel a bit like a child all over again on a brand new quest.
This is a place of benevolent spiritual power. If you come here, there is physical healing, there is emotional and mental healing, there is spiritual healing going on at all different levels. Again, it's difficult, as Bill said, to put into words, but there is something for you here.
And I also believe that you can come here as a watcher. You do not have to have a serious physical illness. You can come. I would tell my friends that I was coming out of curiosity, and really I knew I was coming for something much, much more than that. But I think if that was the only reason to come, that you came, you would find that curiosity was really just a message from your personal guides that there's something here that you're yearning for. And that has to do with wellness. It has to do with wellness, as Gordon said, on a spiritual, emotional, and physical level.
So we wish you well in your own journey, and may you be